This is the Nikki Maduro Show. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Nikki Maduro. She is Kim McAllister.
Yes, indeed.
Please click the subscribe button so we continue doing this show each and every day for you. And we appreciate all of you for being here each and every day. We're going to get into a birthday party of sorts, Kim McAllister, but I don't think that this was a good birthday for the birthday boy. It is 80 years old, which is a huge accomplishment. But Rudy Giuliani was served with a notice of his indictment related to an alleged scheme to overturn the 2020 election results in Arizona.
Which is his own fault because he'd been hiding out.
Yes,
he
did.
The people from Arizona came to the building where he lived, and the security guy and the desk guy said, sorry, we're under orders not to let anyone upstairs. And they said, and we also can't accept any serving documents or papers. So they hung out at the building and he never came out. So if you don't want to be served in front of people, then take the papers when you're in private.
Exactly. Well, he was getting all, so I don't know, you probably can't read that because it's small, but there's Rudy taking a picture, and it says, if Arizona authorities cannot find me by tomorrow morning, 1, they must dismiss the indictment, or 2, they must concede they can't count votes. You know, when you're egging people on, Rudy, probably not the best thing to do. So a GOP operative told CNN that she was hosting the 80th birthday party in Palm Beach, Florida, when the former New York mayor was served. Mm-hmm. An attendee at the party told CNN Giuliani was served the papers by 2 agents of the Arizona Attorney General's office in the late hours of the birthday bash. I thought I had video. I could have sworn I found video.
Is there tape of the serving? Because gotcha, right?
Exactly. Yep. Well, here's a little bit. Let me play a little bit of this report from MSNBC. But again, can you imagine what that must have been like?
18 individuals indicted in Arizona now more than 3 weeks ago on charges related to the alternate elector, the fake elector scheme that came out of Arizona after the 2020 election. Now, among those 18 individuals, there was John Eastman, who was formally arraigned in Arizona courts just this last week, but there are 17 other individuals who are set to appear for court on Tuesday for their own arraignments. But one of those individuals who had not been served his actual papers, the indictment to appear, was former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who was among those indicted in this alleged scheme. And Rudy Giuliani, he even publicly made a mockery of the fact that Arizona investigators had been unable to locate him and to serve him his papers. That all changed, though, at his birthday party, his 80th birthday party in Palm Beach, Florida this weekend at the home of a Kari Lake senior advisor. And Rudy Giuliani, he was live streaming part of his birthday celebration, including the Happy Birthday to You song. And at the end of the party, as Giuliani was leaving, that is when he was formally served his papers. And this here for Rudy Giuliani is a moment that is going to require him to defend himself in criminal court now. But of course, he thought that he would potentially not receive those papers or that indictment to appear. But he did not make it through the weekend, and he did not quite wholly make it through his birthday party, his 80th birthday party, where I'm told that individuals, including Steve Bannon and Roger Stone, were there to celebrate.
Ugh, that's a party. So yeah, I mean, again, I think that I think we even talked about this last week, how far that guy has fallen. Yeah. But again, he lost his radio show because he wouldn't stop spewing election fraud. I just feel like either he drank the Kool-Aid or he's just really, really hoping for another Trump term. But it's insane. I mean, he's 80. Again, I don't ever wish harm or death or anything on anybody, but he's another one that needs to just go away. Like, dude, you've lost all credibility. You have no political career. You've hitched your ride to a weird ass train. And again, he's among a group of former allies indicted, along with 11 individuals who acted in that fake elector scheme. And I hope stuff like that doesn't happen again in this next election. Hopefully Biden wins another term.
Exactly. It's the same guy running.
It sucks,
So why
though.
wouldn't he try to cheat again? Except this time he'll cheat smarter.
Well, I mean, I kind of also feel like we've heard this story before. That's what I'm really hoping. I'm
Mhm.
hoping people have developed a better BS detector, right? Like if you still are using the same lines again,
Yeah.
like you can't say it again.
No,
Y-
they already are. If you hear what he said is, when asked, will you accept the results of the
Right.
election in America? Well, it depends on if they're fair. So he lays the same groundwork
Right.
again. Here we go. Re-rack, reset, because it's the same damn thing.
And fair only means they win. That's it.
Mhm.
And when you
That's right.
you frame it like that, obviously they don't believe it. Like
Right.
if you frame only if I win is it fair,
Mm-hmm.
then obviously that's your whole idea. Because if you'll raise no doubts
Mhm.
if you win, oh no, of course it's of course the election was fair. I won. And I don't understand why so many people, and unfortunately it seems to be enough, so many people are still like, yeah, that totally makes sense to me. They don't see through it at all. It doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, Carrie Lake was the best. Remember, I kept going back and forth and back and forth. She's like, and they even made an SNL skit about it. It's like, oh, the voice of the people has been heard. Okay, you're down again. No, there's irregularities in the election.
Yeah.
No, chickie, it's just you lost. And I
Right.
know losing sucks, and I know that it's hard. But the truth of the matter is, we need people that are going to speak facts, right? That are going to understand that elections can be won and elections can be lost. And even if it's close, there has to be an acceptance, a moving on so that we can continue with the work of the people. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. on my trip to Vegas last weekend, I was totally having this conversation, drunk conversations in Vegas, and I try not to talk about politics too much, but I was saying, it sucks. It sucks so much that Democrats, Republicans are so divided over nonsense because there's actual real work that needs to get done that we can't do anything about, that we need to have some sort of, majority vote in or at least discussion about. But no, it tumbles down into nonsense and being distracted and all sorts of things. And if I can't deal with another 4 years of Trump election nonsense. You know what I mean? It's so sad and frustrating as an American. And so that's why I'm just hoping that if Trump and his allies and ilk start with the whole irregularities thing with no proof, that people will just tire of it very quickly. But I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen, unfortunately.
No, either.
It's frustrating. I mean, people just get out and vote, please. Get out and vote. Okay, well, if there are irregularities or any threat of them, what's going to happen? It might end up before the U.S. Supreme Court, right? Right? I don't trust this U.S. Supreme Court
I was going to say, you're going to think that's going to be a fair fight?
at all.
Yeah.
At all. And the latest story that was coming out in the New York Times was that apparently at Justice Samuel Alito's house, a stop and steal symbol, an
Stop the
upside down
steal.
flag, was on display. Apparently, it was flown over the justice's front lawn as the Supreme Court was deciding the case. Now, here again, I should have blown this up, but it's very hard. There is the flag, upside down flag, and
No, it
this was
used to
as they were
be-
considering the election case.
It used to be the upside down flag was a symbol of distress.
Right.
If you saw an American flag upside down, it meant emergency 911
SOS
respond,
help,
right?
right.
And then the January 6th people co-opted it as a stop the steal, whatever. And so now if you see an upside down flag, it's not America in distress.
Yeah.
It's, we're election denier weirdos is what's happening there.
Well,
And so as the Samuel Alito is confronting cases regarding the election, this is what was flying in front of his house. And I'll know there's more to the story, but I will tell you that Hakeem Jeffries, who's the House Democratic leader, right? Minority leader. He says that Samuel Alito should apologize immediately for disrespecting the American flag and sympathizing with right-wing violent insurrectionists. He said it's objectionable and personally insulting. Anyway,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Now, again, this flag was hung outside his home on January 17th, 2021, weeks before Alito dissented in a 6-3 ruling to uphold Pennsylvania's election of Joe Biden. In a statement to the Times, Alito did not disavow or reject the message that the symbol sent, instead blaming his wife, Martha Ann Alito, for placing the flag in response to a neighbor's use of objectionable and personally insulting language on yard signs. Whatever. Experts say Alito having the display at all constitutes an ethics violation.
Yeah.
One,
They're supposed to maintain the appearance
exactly,
of no bias, like
exactly.
no impropriety at all, right? Yeah.
Sorry about my dog.
No, noise over there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, hold on.
It's okay. It's a hard one.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's a hard one. I think he shouldn't have done it. And I definitely don't think you can blame it on your wife.
But this is the other thing.
Your wife should know better.
The wife should know better. But also, so the Times interviews show that the justice's wife, Martha Ann, had been in a dispute with another family on the block over an anti-Trump sign on their lawn.
Yeah.
But given the timing and the starkness of the symbol, neighbors interpreted the inverted flag as a political statement by the couple. Right. Now, I don't give two rats' butts what the reason was behind the flag being turned upside down, unless that flag is flying properly with a light right side up. It shouldn't be flown at all. No. Like this house, the Alito house, should have no political message. No. Zero. I don't care if it's the wife, the kid, the cousin. I don't give two licks. There should not be any political message coming from a house of a U.S. Supreme Court justice.
That's right.
And if he has a problem with that, then he's compromised. Like, you can't even give an outward appearance. Like, you can't even give an outward appearance that you are neutral. This is terrible.
If she's so upset by the neighbor's sign, which is an anti-Trump sign with a swear word on it or some offensive word on it,
right?
Then think to yourself this: my husband is going to vote against you, people, and you think that to yourself and you walk on by. But you don't slap an upside down "Stop the Steal" flag symbol in your front yard and share with the world that you're a biased household.
Exactly.
Right? You don't do it.
No. And again, that always brings up Justice Clarence Thomas's wife, Ginny, who also engaged in efforts to pressure Republican lawmakers to replace the state electors, which is just insane. Now, Alito and Thomas each have wives who have challenged the results of the 2020 election. Alito and Thomas, along with 3 Trump-appointed justices, could form a majority on any number of cases involving Trump. We are supposed to be a country of checks and balances. We are supposed to be able to trust the highest court in the land. And the sad part is some of the longer serving justices have some of the biggest question marks above their head. That's insane to me. Which
means that this has been going on for a long time.
Thank you. But they haven't been they haven't had the majority as long, right? I mean,
we trusted them. We trusted them to be fair and impartial. We held them put them on this pedestal that they could do that. Right.
And it's, I think, look at someone like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, okay? Total lib with a very long liberal, history before she ended up on the U.S. Supreme Court. I think she got approval by 98. I think it was 98 to 2 or some high ass number, right?
Yeah. Different times though,
And I miss those
We weren't so
times.
divided then. We're not going to vote for this candidate specifically because it's a Biden candidate or a Trump candidate. We would actually look at the candidate. It's the merits of the person.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. It's just, I don't know what to trust if we can't judge people who are placed in such important positions. There is a bit of me, and I'm going to be honest, that's naive when it comes to judges. I'll be honest. I feel like, again, and I know it's naive and I should know better, but I always feel like when you accept a position, whether it's a criminal court judge or a Supreme Court justice, that once you have that position, that that no matter your political leanings or whatever, that you understand the responsibility of it. And so you really try to be fair. And I know that that's not true. Like, I intellectually know that that's not true. Like, there's obviously bad judges and harsh judges and judges that aren't harsh enough, right?
Yeah.
I know that because they're human beings and everybody comes with their own bias.
Right.
But then I go, okay, but the U.S. Supreme Court, right? The U.S. Supreme Court, is supposed to check other things. But because I feel like, even though it's a friggin' rallying call of some in Congress, the political Supreme Court is trying to, do laws and all that, whatever. Congress is the problem. Congress makes it so that these cases end up before the U.S. Supreme Court because they can't figure out their own nonsense. Things are going before the U.S. Supreme Court that should never go before the U.S. Supreme Court if normal laws, state laws, are followed. But we can't seem to do that, right? It just blows my mind that we've allowed this to happen. And now it's going to bleed into the Senate. I mean, the House was always kind of the, because there's so many Congress people. And it's like, okay, so they were kind of the raucous ones and the Senates were the adults in the room. And when it got into the Senate, the adults are speaking and we're going to be normal and we're going to be cordial. But now some wackadoos are ending up in the Senate as well. And every state only gets 2. Yeah. So if both of them are wackadoos, I don't know what's going to happen. More of these stupid cases are going to end up before the U.S. Supreme Court. And the U.S. Supreme Court, I think, is poisoned. It just is.
It absolutely is.
It's sad.
And I have to say that I was talking to someone the other day who said, well, shouldn't Mrs. Alito be able to have her own opinions? It's her house too. Shouldn't she be able to fly that flag?
Right.
And my answer is absolutely not.
No,
the answer is no. And this is not even comparing myself to a Supreme Court Justice of the United States.
Right.
There was a time when, as a journalist, not a talk show host, not someone who offers opinion.
Right.
As a journalist, I would never have donated to a candidate because I wouldn't want my name on anything like that. My husband would never have put a yard sign supporting one candidate or the other because we don't do that. Because I had to present all sides and be fair. And that, I thought, was the ethics that I should follow.
And now,
not taking a side. Now, times have changed. My job is different. Right, I'm no longer a reporter trying to. Sometimes
you're sharing your opinion. Yeah,
I try to be fair and give all sides, but that's not my job anymore.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about, people that are judging cases, we're talking about people that should have these ethics. And now, let me tell you this: now that the Alito's wife is making the front yard a political scene, here come the protesters.
Yes,
and here they are this weekend. There they are, reproductive freedom for all, right outside Alito's house over the weekend.
Good. But I don't know if that helps, but it doesn't matter. Like,
Look at them all.
He started it. But if you're not going to police your own household and make it so people believe that you can be impartial, right? And that you can actually really listen and follow the rules of the Constitution and all that, then they're going to protest. I mean, starting with the Trump appointees, saying, doing during the interviews and all that the reproductive rights and Roe v. Wade was the law of the land and precedent and blah, 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 and then turned around in 2 seconds and took it off. It's frustrating, and it makes you really question the entire institution. And that's dangerous because what we have is belief in our institutions, in the belief in our checks and balances, and in our Constitution and Bill of Rights. I mean,
but now it seems like every time you turn around, there's another crack in the foundation.
Yeah.
And here's a crack and there's a crack. And they're all coming, cracking until it's going to fall straight apart. And I never thought that would happen.
I didn't either. I really didn't. I really think that, and I don't know if it's just, if Trump goes away, I don't know if it's a permanent thing. I don't, I try to make myself feel better by thinking about worse times in history. Do you ever do that?
Yeah.
Well, that was
back
pretty
during the slavery days.
Like,
they were really awful. Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about it. Think about being alive when JFK was assassinated. I mean, think about that. That had to be shocking. I mean,
what
MLK, all sorts of people.
You know what didn't happen when JFK was assassinated? we followed the Constitution. There was nobody trying to shake up the rules.
Yeah.
We had a blueprint of exactly how it would go down,
And we
exactly
followed it.
who needed to be sworn in. You know, it was all a calm and orderly process, even though the nation was mourning.
Yeah. And I just can't imagine being alive at that time. And yeah, obviously slavery, Jim Crow, all of these moments in history, you know, the Great Depression, and we've survived as a country. So I kind of comfort myself in the bad parts of our history, just to like believe that there is going to be another side of it. But I don't know if it's going to be a better side. But we have to hope, right? Like there has to be hope that these people either will no longer be on the U.S. Supreme Court for whatever reason, or we change our ways and we stop sending stupid cases that don't need to be sent to the U.S. Supreme Court there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it should be common sense for certain things. Yeah. Reproductive freedom should be common sense. You know, common sense gun control, all these sorts of things that aren't a violation of our Second Amendment, blah, blah, blah. You know, we should be able to not have everything go before the courts because we are able to run as a country again. And I want to get back to that, but I don't know, Kim, if we don't start making Congress and pressuring Congress to be the adults again, I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. If we keep sending Marjorie Taylor Greenes and Lauren Boeberts and all these people that just want a freaking headline into these positions of power, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow. We're going to talk about this tit for tat that happened. It was actually between three people, but it started between two. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett and Marjorie Taylor Greene. But then AOC kind of jumped in to help out Crockett. And I think like Jamie Raskin, I think it was, has his hands over his face. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is where we are. Like this. And it bothers me. You know what also bothers me? And again, we're going to talk about this tomorrow, is that it was women, right? And it's like, no, like don't do catty woman stuff on the congressional floor.
Don't
you know
have
what I mean?
a cat fight in the halls of Congress. Yes,
exactly.
No.
Like, please, can we not do that? So, join us tomorrow. We're going to discuss that tomorrow. What else are we going to? We're going to talk about.
Can I throw one more story at you today?
Oh, please.
This guy is the first Black astronaut candidate who's now 90 years old to reach space in a Blue Origin flight. His name is Ed Dwight. He's an ex-Air Force captain. He was passed over by NASA in the 60s, and now he's the oldest person to reach the edge of space. He went with the Jeff Bezos space firm, Blue Origin, right? And so he said, listen, this wasn't necessarily on my bucket list. I had no intention of being an astronaut, but once I was given the challenge, everything changes.
Oh, that's so awesome.
It's expensive to go up there with Blue Origin, but his seat was sponsored by Space for Humanity, which is a nonprofit dedicated to expanding access in space.
That is
so
cool.
Dwight becomes the oldest person to fly to the edge of space, which he jumped over William Shatner, who had flown on another Blue Origin flight. But the record is still held by John Glenn as far as the oldest person to enter Earth's orbit. That in 1998, he was sent into space at 77.
Awesome.
This is the edge of space.
I don't know.
So he didn't quite go up further, but that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah. I mean, the edge of space, I'll take it. You know, I just want more people to try it.
And there he goes. And look at the joy.
I mean, hell yeah. That is so congratulate Ed. What was his name?
Dwight. Ed Dwight.
Ed Dwight. Man with two first names.
There you go.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had the money or somebody wants to sponsor me, I'll totally go. But I don't have the money to do something like that. Space tourism, you know, I was just talking to my husband about this, you know, traveling to Las Vegas.
Sure.
There's so much of the United States I haven't seen. So I think I'm going to keep it on Earth for a little bit before I start going, you know, to outer space.
No, agree. I don't think I have the cojones to go into space.
Oh, I would totally go. I want more people to go, though. You know what I mean? I need a little more.
I remember the blow up. Like with Krista
Challenger?
McAuliffe and everything.
Yeah. I think everybody our age does.
Like, I have little kids. I'm not going.
I'd still go. Yeah. I'd probably think of it right before I left, though, but definitely would go.
Sayonara.
Sayonara, suckers. All right. Well, on that note, click the thumbs up button, show your support for the show, hit that bell as well. Tomorrow, also, we're going to talk about the California GOP convention that happened over the weekend. There were a couple of stories, but one close to home here in California. One had to do with the election lies because that's obviously what they do. But Steve Garvey didn't show up. We'll debate a little bit. Was it a good move or a bad move for Steve Garvey not to go? Kim has been telling me the terrible news that he's still really close in the race in California. I think this guy does not want to win, a la Trump, but we'll debate that tomorrow as well. Plus, I do want to squeeze in this hilarious story about when you don't want something to come out, don't talk about it. But this woman, this Australian rich woman, took the opposite way. And so it was just hilarious. So we'll have those pictures as well. If you love the show, please consider supporting us through our Patreon. We depend on all of you. So go to theNikkiMaduroShow.com. Click the Patreon button and donate any amount you can afford. It's a one-time a month donation, and we really do appreciate it. If you like PayPal, like so many of you do, just go to paypal.com and you could donate any amount you want to. The email address is thenikkimaduroshow@gmail.com. And honestly, guys, we love your guys' support so much, and we really want to keep the show going. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And then, of course, support our sponsor, Auntie Tabby's Island Flavors. She has amazing sauces, hot sauces, hibiscus and pineapple. Also a guava barbecue sauce that Kim and I disagree on whether it's spicy or not, but it's very, very good no matter what. So get them all, try them out. And every time you order, if you use the coupon code NIKKIM, NIKKIM, you'll get 10% off every single order. So just remember it, use it, and help support the show. And also a portion of the funds help support a skate park in Jamaica. So she puts the money back into the Jamaican community. All right, guys, we will talk tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're all so the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.